Coming up on today's show, Ubisoft is moving away from AAA games. There's a naked banana development in the Epic versus Apple trial, and special guest Alexa Ray Corriea is here. What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast, your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff every Friday. I'm Andrea Renee, joined by the woman, the myth, the legend, one of the original founders of What's Good Games, now video game writer, Alexa Ray Corriea.
I am kind of a myth,
aren't I? You kind of are. You've only been back to the show, what, 2 or 3 times since you got your full-time job?
2.
Gosh.
This is 3.
That is tragic. It's tragically low, but I know that you are a very busy person, so we'll let it slide. It's so good to see you, my friend, even though it's virtual. Yeah. I love seeing your face back on the show.
I am excited to be here. I'm excited. This is nice.
And we have Pokemon to talk about later, which is even better. For people who never got to see Alexa Ray on What's Good Games, I highly recommend you check out some of our archives from our first and second year. Some classic WGG moments. Just so many memes about backflipping off the earth and everything else. Yeah. Oh my God.
I've never had a perfect moment in my life of just perfect synchronicity with the people around me as when you were reading about your seal husband, and then Brittany and I, without talking at the same time, she pulled up seal noises and I peeled up Careless Whisper, and it all just came together.
One of the most infamous clips in What's Good Games history. There was a clip in our recap video this year for our 4th anniversary where I am very emphatically telling Brittany that I do not have a thing for seals. I don't understand why this thing is perpetuated, and it's really your fault.
Yeah, I take full responsibility, but I've committed to the bit now, so we just got to go with it.
says the woman who walked away. Just keep going with it. Anywho, we're glad that you guys are here. Thank you so much for joining us, whether it's your first episode or your 234th episode of What's Good Games. I'm glad that you guys are fans and supporters of the show. Like our May Patreon producers, Tyler Adams, ProgramAlice, Chewy's Godson, XS Oddities, Justin Foshee, Punkdefied, Rob Lehnert, Faris Attieh, Marcus Ian Brown, Alex Rigopulos, and Trevor Starkey. And welcome to our Patreon community, Andrew Courtney. Don't forget you can be part of the show and submit your questions at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. And you can also get the show ad-free. Speaking of ads, this episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by A Jar of Ashes, Me Undies, and HelloFresh, but we'll tell you more about them later. Thank you to our new podcast reviewer, Nakirachi, who said that our podcast is excellence personified. Thank you so much, Nucky. That's very kind of you. Don't forget, if you don't have a couple bucks to toss our way on Patreon, hopefully you have a couple minutes of your time to leave us a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. It helps us out so much, you guys, more than we can explain. Quickly anyway. So if you do have a few minutes, we would love to get that 5-star review from you. All right, Alexa Ray, we are going to start off our headlines talking about free-to-play. Woo!
Oh boy! Oh boy!
It's going to be very exciting. I have a feeling. It's really more about earnings calls than it is about free-to-play. So there were 2 big earnings calls this week. We had Ubisoft and Electronic Arts. So I'm going to start with Ubisoft because this is the one I think that's really kind of made some waves, because during that call, it sounds like they're moving away from AAA. So over at Polygon, they write that Ubisoft's top leadership says the company is prioritizing persistent, free-to-play adaptations of the video game franchises and licenses the company develops, even as its subsidiaries build standalone releases to meet blockbuster expectations in February, fall, or holiday release windows. Also, it's funny that Polygon's like February is its own holiday or its own release window, just the month of February. Screw March, screw January. We don't need those months. It's just February. Don't know.
I don't think anything came out in February this year. There was a lot in January. Like The Medium came out couple of other things came out, and then March had like a bunch, but I don't
Yeah.
remember.
I mean, definitely games came out, but not enough to warrant it being its own standalone market. Anyway, I digress. Let me continue on. Ubisoft's chief financial officer gave investors some information about their fiscal year as it has just completed in the earnings report. Ubisoft quickly supplemented those statements with others, saying the company is not abandoning a product roadmap that includes tentpoles like Far Cry 6, Rainbow Six Quarantine, but Dugue? How do we say Frederick's last name, do you think? It's got to be French, right? Dugue? I have no idea. Frederick is probably listening to this podcast. Actually, he's probably not listening. And going, that's
Duget.
Duget?
Dugert.
It's perfect. You nailed it. Anyway, Fredericks did say that the traditional calendar of 3 or 4 AAA caliber games is no longer a proper indication of value creation dynamics. Now, that's some 50-cent buzzwords right there. This, of course, is following Ubisoft's announcement of Tom Clancy's The Division Heartland, a free-to-play chapter of the looter shooter franchise. That game is expected later this year or sometime in 2022, and it appears to match Epic Games and Activision's programming strategy with Fortnite and Call of Duty. But Ubisoft still has a lot of unannounced games to move onto store shelves in the meantime. That includes Skull and Bones, the open-world pirate game that now is not happening until 2022. Maybe early 2023. What happened to Skull and Bones? Didn't we see that together at E3?
I have a memory of seeing that game existing. Where is it? I want it.
I don't feel like that game is going to exist in any shape that we're going to recognize in the future. I feel like that game's going to be a completely different game than the last time we saw it, which is fine. But I feel like Ubisoft just needs to like stop updating. But I guess like it's their earnings call, so they have to give a little something. It of course will be joined by Far Cry 6, Rainbow Six Quarantine, and the mountain bike racing title Riders Republic in the company's 2022 to 23 fiscal year. So, one thing absent from the earnings call, which everybody is very interested in, of course, is that Star Wars game being developed by Massive Entertainment, the studio in charge of the division. So, all we've gotten so far, Alexa, if you recall, from Ubisoft on Star Wars was just like a single piece of art. There wasn't even like any Star Wars art in it. It was basically just like Massive and the Star Wars logo, and then like, we're making something.
I wonder what it's going to be. Like, the thing that I am the most excited about is finding out, like, what era it's going to be in. Because, like, right now, I don't know. Have you been watching the stuff on Disney Plus? Like, Bad Batch just came out.
I haven't been watching Bad Batch because I'm not caught up on Rebels. And I feel like I need to do that first and then watch Bad Batch. Or do you think I'm okay to start Bad Batch without it?
Did you finish Clone Wars?
No.
Okay, you should watch Clone Wars, and then you can watch Bad Batch having only watched Clone Wars.
Okay.
You don't necessarily need Rebels to watch Bad Batch. However, there are a few things in the first episode of Bad Batch that would give you a little more emotions for you to watch.
So you're saying I have to watch both?
Yes. You know what? Just watch all of them. Sit down, pop some popcorn, like get a jug of not alcohol for now, and then just like sit down and just like
bring on the Gatorade.
Just marathon all of it. It's chef kiss fingers. It's so good. It's
okay. So good. Okay, I like this. Yeah, no, John's watched all of it, and he, I mean, having
you watched it without you.
Yeah, he watches a lot of TV without me, and I don't blame him because I am kind of a slow television watcher when we binge things, and he's the kind of multitasker that he can watch television, do email, and then also be checking his phone all at the same time, and I just cannot. soak up all that at the same time.
What
It's
a
impossible.
monster. That's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
No, but also rude that he watched all that without you.
It's not rude. He knows that sometimes he just has to go on without me. It's just like an agreement that we've come to that it's like, listen, honey, I love you. Like, I can't wait for you. And those weren't series that I was particularly passionate about, because while I like Star Wars, as you know, we've gone to see Star Wars movies together. I'm not like a diehard Star Wars person. It's not my favorite space opera. We're going to be talking about my favorite space opera later in the show.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I can't wait. I can't wait.
It's going to be great. But basically the takeaway from this Ubisoft story is that everyone is kind of up in arms about them moving away from AAA and moving into free-to-play. And the reason why they're doing that is probably indicated by the other earnings call that happened this week from Electronic Arts. So in addition to going over some of the regular financial stuff, they also announced that they're moving EA Play Live, their live showcase that they did last year built on EA Play, to July 22nd. So completely skipping over E3 Digital 2021 to just go into July and do their own thing. And on the backs of that announcement, well, really on the backs of some leaks, unfortunately, they've teased a reveal for Battlefield 6 potentially coming in June. So the Battlefield Twitter account posted words that rhyme with soon. June, boom.
Boom doesn't rhyme with soon.
Boom and soon?
I'm sorry.
Ooh.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Is it because of the N and the M difference?
It bothers me. It bothers me.
You're like, listen, the double O's do not give you a pass, okay?
No, my brain is just like, let it edit. I appreciate the sentiment. I like it. I appreciate it, but they don't rhyme.
I love it. I love that you're just like, no, it's not a thing. Anywho, so I think like what we're seeing is that it's potentially going to have a reveal for Battlefield in June if they can keep their leaks under control and they don't have to push the announcement out sooner. Maybe this means that they're teaming up with Xbox to do a Battlefield reveal on the Xbox press conference stage, virtual stage, air quotes here, because we know that Call of Duty has been partnered with PlayStation for quite some time now, the last couple of years. So it would be a nice little back and forth there. And also, they revealed that just 26% of their revenue came from premium game sales last year. The rest of EA's revenue was generated by DLC, microtransactions, live service games, and mobile games, which does not surprise me. I feel like I've been preaching this message for a long time, but I think a lot of people in the industry were like, what? It's just a little bit of irony, Alexa, that so many people so mad at EA about microtransactions, but yet over 70% of their revenue coming from microtransactions. So clearly not everybody's mad about it.
No, and unfortunately, sometimes that's where the good shit is. You're talking to someone who spent an embarrassing amount of money on Fire Emblem Heroes over the course of like 2 years. Like, that's where the good shit is.
Yeah.
It happens.
The horny casino. Who could forget the horny casino?
My horny casino. Someday I'll make my own horny casino. Just you watch.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Will you please? And then I'll come and I'll be a whale in your game and I'll spend money on all of the husbandos and waifus. I mean, listen, I'm no stranger to spending a boatload of money on free-to-play games. Obviously, even on non-free-to-play games. Bungie and Activision have a ton of my money for silver packs that I've bought in Destiny since 2014. That is for sure. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Obviously, my normal co-host, Brittany Brombacher, who is now officially out on maternity leave, talked famously about all the money she spent on Pokemon Go, another free-to-play game. I think that there's no denying that free-to-play games are part of the gaming ecosystem for better or for worse, but I think what's great about the evolution of where free-to-play games have gone and where gamers can feel confident is that there's a lot of developers doing it right. You can look at games like Apex Legends or look at games like Fortnite, even games like Warzone, you know, Call of Duty just announced 400 million players in Warzone. They're free to play game. And I think that there's just a lot of really good free to play options out there. And again, they're free. You don't have to spend money on these games. So just untwist your panties about games that are asking for your money. You don't need to spend it. I know.
If you have poor impulse control, and I speak to you as someone who has poor impulse control, that's you. That's you. But it's okay. We're all in this together. It's fine. Live your life. Live your truth. And if that's, you know, spending all of your money in Bungie on Destiny, then do it. You know what? Do it. You are living your life. And especially now, you gotta live your life. I support you all. I'm here. I'm here to support you all as someone who spent $800 on Fire Emblem Heroes. I'm here.
Like, I'm in the trenches with you, okay? You're not alone.
I'm in there. I'm in there in the corner with my husbandos, just like shaking and muttering to myself. I'm doing it. So,
I love it. I love it.
It's okay.
So when EA announced that they were moving into July, did you think that was a good decision to get out of the way of E3, or do you think that they're kind of missing being part of the, you know, pomp and circumstances that E3 is known for?
I'm really interested to see how that plays out, because E3 is all digital this year. And it's like I tried to think back over the last year, and this is actually the first big digital event of the Panini times. I refuse to say the word pandemic. I just said it. Never mind.
You just called it the Panini?
The Panini. Have you seen that? There's this. I picked it up from like dumb Twitter, but it's like nobody wants to write out the word pandemic, so they'll be like the Panera, the Panini, the Pangea.
I must have missed this. No, I'm not up on the Panera and Paninis.
The Panera. So since the Panera started, this is like the first big event. I'm curious to see how E3 goes digitally. I'm curious to see what kind of numbers it pulls, like what kind of people tune in for it, because it's such like they're trying to coagulate an event that could very easily be done by, as we've seen physically with, you know, EA branching off and Activision branching off and everybody doing their own thing. So I'm wondering if it will matter much when things happen. I understand why they move though, because they want their stuff to breathe, which is, yes, I get it. But I also just wonder how many people will tune in versus just read the news later. Like I'm so fascinated by what's happening this year to see how this goes, because I think what happens with E3 will have an effect on how everyone does things moving forward.
Yes.
I think.
No, I agree. I think that there's a lot of pressure on the ESA to put on a compelling event. But I think with the amount of partners that they have announced, that they can't completely flop, especially when you have Nintendo and Xbox on board as the major, you know, platform holders. I think that that's a great step. And obviously there's been several publishers that have come forward to say that they're going to be on board and be showcasing. And I think that's great. They've got a stellar group of hosts. So
yes, they do. I was so happy to see that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm wishing them all the best of luck. It's tough for me to be sidelined for E3 this year. Obviously it's digital. And so, you know, it wouldn't be as busy as a normal year would be for me anyway, but it's like a week before my due date. So I had some partners I've worked with in the past reach out to me about doing stuff for E3, and I was just like, listen, I love you guys, but it's just too risky for you. I didn't feel like it was the right call to take on any responsibilities. And everyone who's watching the show and listening to the podcast knows that Steimer and I have said it's a giant maybe if we're going to be doing any like stream alongs and that. Brittany, though, seems convinced that she's going to be ready to go. And I'm like, girl.
I don't know. I was going to say you're doing something way more important that week. You're creating life. So like, you need some time to yourself.
It's true. And I kind of get to have the experience of reliving an E3, because before I started working E3, this would have been my 14th E3, which is kind of bonkers to think about.
No.
Yes, it would have been.
Whoa.
In the days before I was working E3, there was no way to watch live streams of E3. Even back then, G4 and Spike TV weren't streaming the whole thing. You would see packages on stuff later on, but they weren't these comprehensive all-day live streams like we get from your IGNs and your GameSpots and stuff now. And so I think it's really going to be an interesting year for me personally to kind of be on the consumer side, just kind of watching it all happen. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be interesting.
With baby, hopefully.
Yes, well, hopefully
Get her
the
started
baby
early.
chills. I mean, she could come early, but hopefully she just chills. Just chills for another week or two.
We need another for Warzone, so as soon as you can get her going, let's go. As soon as she's ready,
for your squad. Also, we need to play. Like, I'm down.
Yes, we do.
We haven't played in forever. Anywho, I digress.
My job now to play.
Let's move on to our next story. But before we do that, I want to let you know this episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by filmmaker, author, and fan of the show, Shaz Mosin. Shaz has recently published a sci-fi illustrated novella about the relationship between two South Asian women titled A Jar of Ashes, which is available now on Apple Books and Amazon Kindle. A Jar of Ashes is book 1 in his sci-fi series titled The Story of Neela, which tells an intimate story about the protagonist Neela and her role aboard the Andromeda-based space station Moksha 72, and her relationship with its commander, Amaris Nazim. Taking inspiration from shows like Star Trek, video games like Mass Effect, and his roots as a South Asian from Bangladesh, Shaz looks to tell the ongoing story about identity, cultural history, and the connections we have with our roots, while also exploring LGBTQ+ relationships told through the eyes of people of color. With enough support, Shaz, alongside artist Emily Lamson, hope to have the story of Neela span across multiple books in the years to come. Support their journey today by getting a copy of A Jar of Ashes on Apple Books or Amazon Kindle. You can visit the link in our description below for more info, or you can go directly to shazmosin.com. That's SHAZMOHSIN.com. A Jar of Ashes is available now on Apple Books and Amazon Kindle. Support Shaz's story by picking up a copy of his book today. Last week on the show, we spent pretty much the entire news block talking about the Epic trial, as I called it, the Epic versus Apple trial that is still ongoing, and there has been some interesting developments. We're not going to go too much into what's going on because it's a lot to cover, but I could not resist talking about the appropriateness of Fortnite's naked banana man, Peely.
The banana is so good. Oh my god, I saw this and I was like, I died thinking about it.
There's been just some silliness happening in this trial. We talked about some of it last week, but according to Eurogamer, it was inevitable. The appropriateness of Fortnite's bizarre banana man, Peely, has now been discussed in open court. Last night in the ongoing Apple versus Epic trial, Peely came under scrutiny for being a naked piece of fruit with arms and legs. How dare he? In remarks transcribed from the courtroom by Verge reporter Addie Robertson, a lawyer for Apple brought up Peely in court and made a deal of showing the character wearing clothes in his Chapter 2 season. Yes.
Can we do a dramatic reading? Can we do a dramatic reading of this?
100%. So, do you want to be the Epic marketing boss, or do you want to be the lawyer?
Yes. I want to be the Epic marketing boss.
Okay.
I need to stop.
Okay, here we go. We have a large yellow banana here in a tuxedo. The lawyer asked.
That's Peely. Epic Games marketing boss Matthew Weisinger.
This is still you, Matthew.
Yes, that's Peely. We thought it was better to go with the suit instead of the naked banana because we are in federal court right now.
Oh wait, no, that was the lawyer. We screwed up the reading. We screwed up the dramatic
It's fine. Everybody gets it. It's too dramatic. We're too
Apple's
dramatic.
lawyer noted before going on to ask questions about Peely's exclusivity in certain paid-for battle passers. Protocol reporter Nick Stat suggested the line of questioning was intended by Apple to paint Epic as some greedy game company exploiting children and exposing them to lewd content. That's my nightly news reporter voice. However, when Epic's own lawyer took the stand, the company decided to call out Apple's attack on its banana.
I'm dying.
Okay, you have to play Epic's. You have to play. Oh wait, no, you can't play Epic's lawyer because you have a very important line coming up.
Yes, I do.
Epic's lawyer said, "A little bit of digression. We talked about Peely, our banana. There might have been an implication that showing Peely without a suit might have been inappropriate. Is there anything inappropriate about Peely without clothes?"
It's just a banana, ma'am.
Another interesting tidbit was that Epic sold 3.3 million NFL skins in a month back in 2018. 3.3 million skins at 1,500 V-Bucks, that's roughly $14 as of winter 2018, is close to $50 million for one set of skins. Epic has never disclosed how many of a particular character or item it typically sells, so this is an intriguing insight. And reporter voice. So...
I need to know. I want to know the person, if you are the person responsible for saying, and then for thinking, and then verbalizing, and then putting into action, we cannot show a naked banana in court. I need to talk to you. Like, I gotta know, because he's just a banana.
It's just a banana, ma'am.
I need to know who's I don't know if you can pick it up. My dog is like agreeing with me in the background somewhere. I need to know. I also need to know why they chose, of the multitude of Fortnite characters, they were like, okay, we're going to talk about this banana, but not the banana in its natural form. We got to put a suit on it. I need to know the exact line of thinking that made this happen, because this is the best thing ever, and someday I'm going to write the movie adaptation of this trial, and it's just a banana, ma'am, is going to be in all the marketing material, because this is the best part.
Just so silly. But what's been really fascinating about this trial is some of the information that's come to light. So one of the stories we talked about last week on the show was, of course, a lot of third-party developer industry secrets kind of accidentally getting exposed in court / not accidentally, because the records and the documents were subpoenaed by the court. But it's about, people saying, hey, we have legal documents that protect us from this stuff being publicly exposed and being in public documents. It was a whole mess. And so that's why I thought this last paragraph was interesting. The idea that just this one skin pack that Epic sold for the NFL back in 2018 generated close to $50 million of revenue, which is cuckoo bananas. Because, imagine how much some of the Marvel stuff must have generated for them, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. Because, obviously NFL stuff is super popular here in the United States, but the Marvel stuff is popular worldwide.
Yeah.
So, curious. No wonder Epic has made so much money from Fortnite.
I really hope, if you are an individual who teaches a game design or any sort of game course at any college or university, I hope they teach what came out of this trial and what this trial means and everything. I know it's not even over yet, but I really hope that this is brought up and taught and talked about as we move forward, because this stuff is fascinating. It's just fascinating.
Indeed. Well, the trial still has some time to go. We, of course, will keep you updated on where the dust settles after a verdict is reached. Moving on, PlayStation has been working on 25 PS5 games, and half of them are new franchises. According to IGN, PlayStation Studios head Herman Hulse says that they have more than 25 games in development. Previously reported by Wired, Hulse says that PlayStation Studios, which is comprised of studios like Hulse's old stomping grounds, Guerrilla Games, Naughty Dog, Insomniac Games, and more, has more than 25 titles in development for the PS5. This doesn't necessarily mean that there are 25 first-party games in the works at PlayStation Studios. Games like Sackboy: A Big Adventure and Returnal were both published under PlayStation Studios' banner, but were developed by studios not owned by Sony, Sumo Digital and Housemarque in this instance, respectively. This is exciting news nonetheless for anyone wondering what Sony is up to beyond Ratchet & Clank: A Rift Apart, which had some previews come out this week, which is set to release next month. Some other titles have been revealed, such as Guerrilla's Horizon Forbidden West, which we think is coming out this year, but it's probably going to be delayed. Or even Sony Santa Monica's God of War Ragnarok, which has been discussed not at all, really, since it was revealed in the State of Play last summer. Also said 2021, but listen, Alexa, I'm not holding my breath that either of those games is going to make it this year. I would guess if either of them were going to, Horizon would be the one to make it for fall 2021, and I would think God of War would maybe be spring 2022. What do you think?
I agree. I feel like based on when they were announced and what we've seen of them so far, I feel like that is a very accurate guess. Also, I just kind of want Horizon a lot.
Yes. Do you remember when we were stumping so hard to get Brittany to play Horizon and she just wouldn't do it, and now she's like Horizon #1 fangirl?
That Horizon was one of the games that, like, to me just felt like after a long day and after everything going on, it's like one of the better first person story driven games to just sit down and like lose yourself in. I thought everything was just, you could just walk around the world, shoot some dinosaurs, you go to the story stuff, like, love it. Really want the next one. Come on, please. It's been long enough. Yes. Can I have it? Thank you. Please and thank you.
And
I do remember Brittany fought us really hard. Brittany, why?
I don't know.
Why?
Do you remember she was always going with that tree business, going on and on about how she doesn't like trees. She's like, there's too many trees. And we were like, what? Come on. But she saw the light.
Through the trees?
She saw the light through the trees. Yes, she
Brittany,
did.
What is your problem with trees? You live in a place with many trees.
The state of Washington has an abundance of trees. There's no denying
also,
that.
their trees are really well done. Like, I understand the beef with some game foliage because sometimes it's just like, it doesn't look right. Like, you have like the weird uncanny valley of trees. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Am I making sense right now? The uncanny tree.
It's like
tree
patches
valley.
Of trees have been copy and pasted into the world.
Yeah, or like you get up to the leaf and the leaf is like clearly just like a flat something that's just been like stuck on it. So like those were not the trees. Horizon Zero Dawn did not have those trees. They had trees that were trees.
They were great.
I need to talk to her. That's weird. The uncanny tree valley.
Uncanny tree valley.
Don't you miss me?
I miss you so much. So much. Speaking of uncanny tree valleys, that's not a segue. That really makes sense. Sony's next generation VR headset for PlayStation 5 has significantly higher resolution, inside-out tracking, a vibration motor, and even foveated rendering, reliable sources have told Upload VR. So we don't actually know if any of this stuff is legit, but Upload VR has a scoop, allegedly, about what's coming for PSVR 2. The only thing we know for certain is that Sony has said they are working on a follow-up to the headset that will be paired with PlayStation 5 at some point. We don't know when its release date is or what its specs are going to be, but we do know that Valve announced the HTC Vive Pro 2 is going to be coming out for a cool $800, but if you want the whole package, it's going to cost you $1,400. Yikes.
Okay. You know, just a cool $1,400, I'm sure, after, you know, just $1,400. That's a lot.
Just a little bit.
That's not consumer friendly. That's a lot.
It is not. It never has been, but, you know, there's always a part of the tech field that is not meant to be for the masses. It's meant to be high-end gear for technophiles and people that like the really high-end experiences, and that's okay. It's okay that those things exist and that most of us will never ever get to have those things. There are definitely other VR options out there like the Oculus Quest, which are much more consumer friendly. And I think as the technology proliferates, it'll become more consumer friendly as time goes on. But have you kind of changed your thoughts about VR at all in recent years, knowing how it's been evolving? Or are you still pretty much like, it's not really for me?
Well, I still barf, so that's definitely a big
me
deterrent.
too.
That's a big deterrent. I'm surprised I still barf, but I still barf. I was reading, oh gosh, I was reading the GDC State of the Industry survey, and they had a whole section talking about, they've done a question on like, are you developing AR VR for the last couple of years? And I think this year the number went down like a significant percent, maybe like 6 or 8. Don't quote me on the number, but it did go down. That less developers are developing for VR and AR, which immediately screams like, oh, it was like a fad. I don't think it's a fad. I just think that VR is like I think it's popular with a niche. I think it's going to find a niche footing the same way that game genres find a niche footing, which is totally okay. And like VR is super fun. The only game that I can get through and not like melt into a puddle of like vomit and sad on the floor right after is Res Infinite, which is really weird because you're in a blank space flying around hitting things, and you would think that would make me vomit, but for some reason it doesn't make me vomit. Maybe because I'm not I don't know. I don't know.
Have
My
you
body's
spent
weird.
some time playing Beat Saber? It's kind of that same vibe.
Yeah, I can play Beat Saber. I can play Beat Saber. I can play Beat Saber. I can play Res Infinite. Beat Saber I get a little like, but like Res Infinite, maybe because I'm distracted by everything going on around me, I'm like okay with.
Yeah.
But most VR games, like I know there was a oh, I did try, I forgot what it was called because I'm awful, but it was a live performance streamed in VR of The Tempest. And I watched it. I'll go and look it up because I can't brain. Dead brain. And it was really nice because it was really slow and like you have things to focus on. But VR for me is definitely a sometimes treat. When I'm not turning shooting, I would really love to play that like Tales from Galaxy's Edge Star Wars VR game, but unfortunately like I was in it for 2 minutes and I immediately wanted to barf, and that's on me because I'm a barfy human. I barf. It's not you. It's definitely like a motion sickness thing. But yeah, no, the people I know that do like VR and play VR play it like all the time, which is why I feel like it's going to be a genre niche. Like it's moving in sort of like the genre niche category.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to kind of finish up our news block here, I wanted to just give a shout out to Capcom. They announced that they have record profits for the 4th year in a row, bolstered by Resident Evil and Monster Hunter. Specifically, Resident Evil Remake 3 really helped their fiscal year last year, and Monster Hunter Rise has been doing gangbusters, and Resident Evil Village has shipped 3 million copies globally during launch. So congrats to Capcom for crushing it.
Big lady game. I have it. I want to play it. I'm gonna play it. I haven't played. I'm so like, again, it's first person, which brings with it like the will she barf, will she not barf? But I'm really excited to play it because I'm excited about Big Lady. So
Lady Dimitrescu.
I also watched all of Britney's stuff, and she's just like she's so like just infectious and excited about it. I'm like, okay, I'll play it. Good job
played it
start
to finish. I finished it.
Yeah?
I'm very proud of myself.
What'd you think?
Well, we talked about it on the show last week, so spoiler free. I thought the game was really fun. I had a great time with it. I can see where some of the criticisms are, but what's tough about a survival horror game is that you're never going to appease everybody because everybody's level of horror that they want is going to be so varied. So some people really wanted more of a true, like psychological, scary experience that we got in Resident Evil 7. Some people like myself preferred more of a balanced like action sections with spooky stuff, and I think Resident Evil Village really delivered on that. I do think that some of the exploration areas were a little bit labored on. And there were some parts of the game that I wish they would have spent a little bit more time on, but overall, I thought it was a really fun game that was really approachable for someone like me who doesn't really like survival horror mechanics. I want all of the bullets, thank you. Just give them all to me.
Give me all of the bullets. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm really excited to play it. Once I like have 5 minutes to breathe, that's on my list. I'm very excited. Also, I love Resident Evil and I love y'all, but like it peaked at dogs in the window. Like nothing will be scarier than the dogs coming through the window when you don't expect it.
That's why I can't go back and play like the older ones. Like doing Resident Evil 2 remake, I think was only possible because I had Brittany coaching me through most of it. It's the only reason I finished it. And I never finished Claire's playthrough. I did Leon's playthrough. No, the other way around. I did Claire's playthrough, didn't finish Leon's. But yeah, I didn't go back. Once I went through it once, I was like, this is good. I'm good. I don't need to unlock tofu or any of that business. I'm set. I'm all set. Anywho, that's gonna do it for our news for this week. When we come back, we're gonna talk about what we've been playing. And you know what week it is. It's Mass Effect week.
I can't wait to hear about it.
It's gonna be great. Stick with us, everybody. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. It is the second segment of the What's Good Games podcast, where we talk about what we've been playing and any preview events we have been to. But before we get to that, I want to let you know that this episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by HelloFresh. What is HelloFresh, you may be asking? Well, with HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. So, we talk about HelloFresh a lot on this show. We've been working with them for several months now, and what's really great about HelloFresh is that they cut out stressful meal planning and grocery store trips so that you can enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less. Both Brittany and Jason have been cooking together, and John and I have been cooking together. I really should say that John has been doing most of the cooking, which is wonderful because I've been very tired these last couple of months, and he's really stepped up and expanded his cooking repertoire with all of these amazing recipes from HelloFresh. They have over 25 recipes to choose from each week, from vegetarian meals to craft burgers and extra special gourmet options. There's something for everyone to enjoy, with all the recipes designed and tested by professional chefs and nutritional experts to ensure deliciousness and simplicity. In fact, I believe tonight he is making firecracker meatballs. We had creamy dill chicken yesterday, and it was wonderful. It's one of my favorites. But I digress. HelloFresh has been named Newsweek's most trusted meal kit company of 2021 with over 4 million households served. Their fresh ingredients are sourced directly from growers and delivered from the farm to your front door in under a week, contact-free, of course. If you want to get in on the HelloFresh craze and make meals for yourself and help save you money on your grocery store trips, go to HelloFresh.com/whatsgood12 and use the code whatsgood12 for 12 free meals, including free shipping. Try America's #1 meal kit by heading to HelloFresh.com/whatsgood12 and use the code whatsgood12 for 12 free meals, including free shipping. Oh, there he is. Look at how cute he is. Look at his little face.
He made an appearance. He's on my lap right now. Very quiet. That will change.
For every podcast listener, you want to go to youtube.com/whatsgoodgames to see a sneak peek of Alexa's adorable little puppy. His name is Chip. Oh, he's so cute. Is he just
very friendly.
A straight Chihuahua, or is he a Chihuahua mix?
He is a straight Chihuahua. When we actually got him, he's only 5 pounds. He won't get much bigger unless we overfeed him, and then he gets fat. But he's just small. When we got him, he was he's cryptorchid, which means his balls didn't drop. So when we neutered him, we had to like go in and get him. But he's just tiny. He's just naturally the tiniest Chihuahua ever, and he's also super friendly and loves people, especially women.
Aww.
He loves women.
Well, women are the best.
Just very cuddly and nice.
Chip has good taste.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, he's great. But he was like, "Where's my mother? Why isn't she playing with me?" And so he came in here and was like, Hello. You're still on the
That's
computer.
nice that he's being a good boy. The kittens were outside the door for a little bit, and I was like, no. If I let you into the studio, you will just run amok. But enough about our pets. Alexa, it's time to talk about Mass Effect.
Tell me all of the things. Talk to me. I played all of Mass Effect pre-head injury, and the only good thing that has come out of this is that I remember very little from the original trilogy. So I'm excited to play it again.
Ooh.
Like I never played it.
Ooh,
I can't
exciting.
remember shit.
You get to relive it all over again. So I even put on my Mass Effect N7 front
so cool.
to my case to match my N7 shirt. So it's no surprise to anybody listening to the show that I am a giant Mass Effect fangirl. I've been very open about that and very vocal about that. So, if you want to take what I say with a grain of salt, please feel free to do so. EA gave me a code to check out the Mass Effect Legendary Edition a couple of days ahead of launch, but I've only had it for a couple of days, so I've only been able to put in about 10 hours, which is like a drop in the bucket for 3 Mass Effect games. So I can only kind of give you guys my first impressions of what I've been playing from the original Mass Effect in the Legendary Edition. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. So I don't want to, go over too much about all of the different features. Essentially, the Legendary Edition is a remaster of the 3 original games. This is not a remake. I repeat, this is not a remake. It is a remaster. So the big difference there is that they're essentially taking old assets and then shining them up, putting a fresh coat of paint on them to be incredibly reductive, and making the game look new again. But they are not rebuilding anything. They are not recreating. They're not reimagining anything. A lot of people had asked, are they going to be changing some of the narrative elements in the game? No, they are not. None of the narrative choices in the game have changed. You can't, do things differently than what the choices were in the original playthroughs. Obviously, if you want to go full Renegade and when you went full Paragon before, you can choose to do that, but there's not going to be anything different this time around. I know, right?
Oh, I'm so excited. Renegade for life!
So is that your thing? Were you a Renegade person?
So I played it through twice and remember nothing. I did Renegade and then I did Paragon. I'm one of those people that obsessively plays games like this that have all of the narrative options and the romance options and ways to make the story different. I just have to experience everything. It's this weird just compelling desire. I have to see all of it.
I don't think it's weird.
I had to pick because if I had to pick one, it's Renegade.
Okay, interesting. Because Andrew Courtney wrote in at patreon.com/what'sgoodgames and had asked, I have one question for Alexa, Paragon or Renegade, and now we know that it's Renegade.
You've heard me on the show. You've seen me on Twitter. I'm fucking chaos. I'm just chaos. I'm wearing a shirt. You can't see it. It says I'm not a hot mess. I'm a spicy. Hold on. I'm just going to stand up and show you.
Yes. Let's see. I'm not a hot mess.
I'm not a hot mess. I'm a spicy disaster.
I like it. Spicy disaster.
Which is just me. I'm just a spicy, just rolling into pure chaos. Ask my coworkers, ask anyone I've worked with. I'm just I just kind of roll in and blow shit up. So Renegade.
It's true, but in a really fun way. But
yeah,
back to the game. So
tell me more.
So I'm just going to show you guys. This was a trailer that they put out, kind of showcasing side by side some of the graphical enhancements that they made. But so far into my playthrough in Mass Effect, the original, I've definitely noticed the changes to the Mako, which we're seeing here in the footage. The Mako drives a lot better than it did in the original. The graphics and the lighting effects in particular have been really fantastic. The textures that you see in the cutscenes have definitely been improved. I mean, the game just looks really great. But I think the thing that's really important for everybody to remember is that this still is an older game. Like, this is not something that you should go in expecting it to feel and play like you're playing Destiny. Because, spoilers, it don't feel that way. What I really like to kind of compare my short time that I've had so far with the game is to what we saw in the Master Chief Collection for some of the older Halo games. I mean, and Halo is even older than Mass Effect, but I think what I'm trying to communicate to you guys is that you should adjust your expectations to remind yourself that the game is not going to play like a shooter you would get in 2020 or 2021. It's going to play like a shooter from, like the mid to late 2000s. And what that means is that, if you kind of temper your expectations, I think you're still really going to enjoy it, because as everybody knows, the thing that's really great about Mass Effect is not its combat. It never has been. It's the RPG elements. It's the relationships that you have with other characters. It's the conversations that you get to have and those relationships that you get to build. And all of that is still there. The first time I went to the planet to meet up with Dr. Tassoni, I was like, oh, girl, I missed you. So, because she's my number one bae. Who did you romance, Alexa? Who was your number one?
Liara?
Of course it's Liara. She's the only one worth romancing.
And then, I like Garrus as well. He's good. I like him. No, those are my two. I always, even when I wasn't even thinking about it, I always gravitated towards those two. I don't know, something about the way you can connect with Liara on multiple levels that are not physical. And Ali Hillis does a wonderful delivery for her character. So I was just she's my girl. She's my girl.
So good. I mean, and within minutes of talking with Ashley, I'm like, no wonder I murdered you. No wonder. I don't understand this contingency of people out there. You know who you are, of Ashley fans. She's just such a punk this whole time. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to take you out on any missions. Nope. It's been fun so far. Some of the things that I really like that have really greatly improved my gameplay experience so far in the Legendary Edition, that people who've never played the game are never going to have to experience, are the load times. Holy moly. Are the load times impressively fast. So I am playing on an Xbox Series X. And to be clear, this is the backwards compatible version that you can play on Xbox One, because they are not putting an official next-gen version out. So you can play the PS4 version on PS5 as well. But gone are the days of sitting and watching that animation of going between the systems and the galaxy map, because that was one of the things that was so painful in the first Mass Effect, was just how slow it was to travel between these different systems. And now it's just you can barely pick up your phone and boom, you've already loaded in. Going to and from the Normandy to planet side, incredibly fast. Moving around the Normandy, very fast. The fast travel system on the Citadel, using the Citadel Rapid Transit, is just, it's a game changer, quite honestly, how fast you can move around in the world. I think it's really going to shave down a lot of time on my playthrough.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's been really excellent. And like I had said, the graphics look great. I mean, I'm not going to mince words here. The facial mocap animation, the lip syncing, it's not the best. It wasn't the best back then. It's not the best now. BioWare was very open about the fact that while they cleaned up a lot of the facial animations, they didn't go back and re-motion capture all of the cutscenes. That would have been a massive undertaking.
And expensive.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, you're going to get weird lip sync. It's going to happen. But it doesn't bother me. It didn't bother me. So, I'm just excited to get to Mass Effect 2, because Mass Effect 2 is my favorite.
Yeah, Mass Effect 2, I feel like has the Two Towers effect going for it, where it's like everyone expects it to just be the bridge, but it's not the bridge. It's actually like really packed and really powerful and really good. I agree with you. Mass Effect 2 is the good one, the best
Yeah,
one.
it's
I like that
interesting
one.
that you are equating it to the Two Towers. It kind of does feel that way. That is my favorite of the three Lord of the Rings, as
Me
well.
too.
So
We also, well, you and I have one movie left, I realized, and it's The Battle of Five Armies,
yes,
which I also realized I have only watched once, and it was with you in theaters. I haven't seen it since.
gosh,
That was a million years ago.
that was a long time ago. Holy moly! Yeah, I mean, I've
Yeah,
definitely watched it more than once since then, but it's been a while.
not me.
When we were doing our Hobbit watch along.
One more. We have one more.
Oh, we'll get it done.
We have
We'll get
one
it done
more.
eventually.
I'm coming when it's safe.
Yes, please. I've got my vaccines. Come visit. It'll be wonderful. We'll talk
Yeah.
about smog and everything else. It'll be great.
Maug.
So back to Mass Effect. What I also wanted to kind of touch on with my time with the original Mass Effect in the Legendary Edition is some of the changes that they've made to combat. So this was a big thing that a lot of people were really concerned about, saying, hey, like the combat in Mass Effect 1 in particular was super clunky. It doesn't feel like Mass Effect 3, just quite honestly. As much as work as they have done making Mass Effect's combat better, it still feels like a clunky cover shooter. The cover works sometimes. It's not working great. I will say the commanding of your teammates is much better. That was something that really improved over the trilogy, is how you interact with your sorry, I can see Chip's little face. How you can interact with your squad mates and giving them commands to use their abilities. I do like how you can, from the very beginning, start picking up all kinds of weapons. Like the inventory system and managing upgrades feels a lot more fluid. So I really love that. So that feels great. I don't feel like I'm hindered by any of the upgrades that I've gotten so far. In fact, I feel like I'm upgrading myself quite quickly. Like I'm probably gonna max out some stuff, which is interesting because I know how much more game I have left to play. But I am kind of regretting going for Vanguard class this time. So I don't know if you remember.
Why?
Well, because like I really like opening stuff, and I don't have the electronic skill that I need, and Tally doesn't have her electronics fully upgraded yet, and so I hate coming upon a chest that says electronics level too low to hack, and I'm like, no, there could be something in there that I want though.
No. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I mean, the very first time I ever played Mass Effect, I went as, soldier class, which is kind of, your generic combat class. But I've been really liking, I've been all in on the biotics classes, since my last couple playthroughs of Mass Effect 3 and really learning those biotic combos. But I haven't been able to get any of the combo detonators to work in the original Mass Effect. And I don't remember for the life of me if they were activated in the original Mass Effect or if that's something they added later on.
I'm the wrong person to ask.
Yeah.
I have no friggin' idea.
Yeah, I looked up the and then it's a very expansive spreadsheet if you look at all of the different combos, power combos you can put together, not just biotic, but the tech powers too. But I mean, I think again, the thing I want to impress upon people, if you've never played Mass Effect, and I really am looking forward to you going through and experiencing the story of Mass Effect. I was reminded when I was surveying planets just how much love I have for sci-fi as a genre and how much Mass Effect as a series is a love letter to science fiction. And there's so many great science tidbits in there about all the different planets and then how they how the ship moves in space, and when you go down and you talk to the engineer and the drive core room and like all that super nerdy stuff that I know absolutely nothing about IRL, but like in Mass Effect, it makes it seem all like sexy and exciting. And I'm like, yes, tell me more about these protons.
Yeah, no, Mass Effect has also laid the groundwork for like a lot of sci-fi stuff coming out now. Like I would say that when I watch The Expanse, I see a lot, which I'm watching for the first time. I know
It's
you
so
can yell
good.
at me on Twitter.
Oh, I love it.
You can yell at me on Twitter. It escaped my radar. I was doing horny casino nerd shit in a corner and missed it when it first came out. But like I'm watching it now, but like I see a lot of like, oh, this is very much inspired by Mass Effect. And I feel like it inspired the next generation or a bunch of writers that have come up and grown into games and entertainment now. So like Mass Effect is not just a love letter, but it's also just set a precedent for so much space opera stuff that's coming out now. And I love that. I love that you can look at something that's come out since, 3 and then look at something that came out before the first one came out and you can see the like pre-Mass Effect, post-Mass Effect. It's a cultural cornerstone, I think, in the sci-fi genre. So I'm very excited to play again.
Yes. Yes. Oh, The Expanse is so good too.
So
if you guys haven't seen it, it's on my to-do list for reading. But I just wanted to let you guys know that so far my playthrough has been great. I'll give you guys an update next week once I get a chance to play more. Obviously, I want to play some of 2 and some of 3 before I give kind of like a final thought on it. I know that there are some people out there that are like, but why would I spend this money buying games that I can get like in the discount bin? And I'm like, because it's faster to play, because the experience is better. Are there bugs? Yeah, definitely. I've already run into a couple bugs, but spoilers, there's a shit ton of bugs in the original games. In fact, there's like a whole machinima series about the bugs in Mass Effect. But I think that if you like sci-fi and you like deep RPGs where you can form meaningful relationships and where your actions and your narrative choices have real consequences, then I think you'll really enjoy your time with Mass Effect, and you should check out Mass Effect Legendary Edition. And that's all I'm going to say about it for right now, because I could just go on and on and on, but I want to talk to you about Pokémon Snap.
Shit. How many times on this show was I like, where's the new Pokémon Snap, Nintendo? Where's Pokémon Snap? How many times was I like, where the fuck is this game? Now it's here.
Yep.
And I'm playing
finally here.
Pokémon Snap has been, I've been in game, just my brain just melting out of my ears every day at the end of the day, because there's so much going on right now. And if you've been following the news, you know what's going on. Somebody is working on Call of Duty 2021, which hopefully I can talk to you about later.
Yes, we will, have that somebody back on the show to do an official interview at some point.
Somebody will come back and talk about stuff to talk about. But yeah, so I've been playing. I have Nier. I have all that stuff. I've been playing Pokemon Snap, and I just feel like this is the game like that I wanted the original to be. The original is classic. Don't get me wrong. I love it. It's really nice. There's something really soothing about basically playing what is a like magic eye find 'em puzzle and then taking photos of like the Pokemon and stuff. But like this game, like every time you go into a level, something different appears. So you don't necessarily have the same experience twice. And that to me was nice. And also it's just kind of relaxing to kind of like just trundle along through these super chill environments like the beach at sunset. I played these levels that we're looking at right now while I was like sitting by a pool in Palm Springs last week, because I decided I needed to get the hell out of Dodge. So I went down to Palm Springs. But like this is like it's relaxing, it's fun. If you have been a Pokemon fan and played everything that has come up since this game, you'll find something to love. But if you're someone like me who missed a couple entries, who didn't know some of the Pokemon that were shown, it's actually still enjoyable. because I then went in and was like, oh, like, what is this Pokemon? Like, it's kind of like you're discovering it, no matter if you're a lapsed player or if you're a new player. And I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. Also, you get to like throw shit at Pokemon and knock them over and make them make funny faces, and I like that too. And it's just it's nice. It's nice. It's definitely, I know there's like a story, it's wrapped around a story, but I think that the thing to come to, whether you're a lapsed Pokemon player or whether you're a like diehard Pokemon player, is there's just something so simply relaxing as engaging in something as simple as just a photo hunt. Like, it kind of reminds me of those original Magic Eye puzzles where it's like, oh, find a boot or find a whatever. And then you can do shit like this, where you put it in a frame and add some sparkles and stars to it and share it online. Let me tell you, I have like a million photos of the haunted sandcastle when I finally found it.
Yes, Sandy Gas.
It took me Sandy, yes, it took me forever. You have to beat the game and then you unlock the course where it is. But I was so excited when he showed up, and he makes this fun little noise, and he's like, "Whoa," and you can feed him, and I fed him, and he jumped around, and he came after me, and I was like, oh, my son is here. I haven't posted the photos yet. I have some really excellent Sandy Gas photos. But
I love it. You introduced
so
me to
good.
sides of Pokemon that I never knew existed. And obviously, you know, Britt is our resident Pokemon expert. Steimer has played plenty of Pokemon as well. I'm really like the Pokemon newbie of the group here. So Steimer brought her Switch over last week and let me play a couple levels in Pokemon Snap. And I was just feeling a little frustrated on the on rails part of it, because I was like, oh, I wanted to go slower. I need more time. There's too many Pokemons to take pictures of. And so I would just like snap a bunch of photos, but then I'd let her decide which ones to keep, since it was her game and I didn't want to like mess with her ratings and stuff. But I absolutely understand like how this can really be a relaxing game for people to play, particularly, you know, in the time of the Panini.
The Panini is still happening.
You want something that is not so stressful, you know? And this is a game that's a nice, chill game with very low stakes, you know? Just throwing apples at little pocket monsters.
Yeah, and like the thing that, so I played the original recently. Granted, I was a couple of cocktails deep when I did play it, so I got drunk and played Pokemon Snap a couple weeks ago. The original, that's what I did. And it, you know, for its time, it was like fun. But when I think about what they've done with this one, and this one for the Switch, instead of using the joysticks, you can actually use like the gyroscope. Like, you can pick it up and do all that stuff with it. And that, to me, like when the Wii U came out, I was like, oh, this is perfect for Pokemon Snap. And I've been waiting for it ever since. So I'm glad it's here now. But the thing that, like, the mainline Pokemon games can be a little intimidating, between the like gotta catch them all and you gotta battle them, and the worlds are actually pretty substantial and pretty big, and they can be a deterrent for a lot of people for this series. But I think stuff like this, where it's just like, oh, you're just taking photos and you just have to, you know, make sure you take a cool photo where he's doing something interesting and then you get points, I think is a more it's a little more friendly, it's a friendlier way to bring someone into the series. I think of it more in line with something like Pokemon Go than something like Pokemon Let's Go or Pokemon Sword and Shield. It's sort of in that line of like, you're not a core gamer, maybe you're not a core gamer, but this is still an interesting and unique experience that you can take part in. I'm extremely excitable, so maybe I'm not the best like example for this, but when I unlocked the course, it's like the beach night, and when I unlocked the course and I rounded the corner and I saw the shovel in the sand, I was like, no fucking way. And as we got closer, I was like, and I did a scan and it popped up and it said Sandy Gas, and I was like, and so I just started throwing all these apples at it. I'm like, come on, man. And he popped up and he made this like ridiculous noise, and then he started actually like some of them have animations where they eat the fruit. So he started eating it, he yawned, and then he started eating the fruit. And I took like I think you have like 70 something photos in a roll. I blew my whole roll on this like one Sandy guest. I was like, he's here. I'll post the photos on Twitter when I get a chance. But like, I was just like, oh my God, he's here. So like the excitement of like finding your favorite or like finding an interesting thing happening is really nice. And it's different from the whole like I gotta train these creatures and then they're gonna fight each other and I'm gonna keep them in slavery in a small digital space for the rest of their life. So which is what Pokemon is.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but it's nice. And like the original was cool and groundbreaking for its time. And there were a lot of secrets. And I won't, blow any secrets here, but there's a lot to discover, and it's definitely worth going back and spending more time in and going through. And if you have a favorite Pokemon, it's definitely worth like going back to the environment and that you think it'll be in and like waiting and going through and seeing like, oh, is it there? Oh, is it there? The story is interesting. I know they've like really leaned in with stories and recent Pokemon games, and my only question is like, it's sort of like a almost like a Mass Effect question. It's like, did this civilization just land on this planet? Because they're discovering things and they're in areas where it's like, I feel like you haven't been on this planet very long if like you're asking these questions and you don't know that this island region had like 5 islands. So we'll see.
Well, it definitely sounds like you've been having fun. I can't wait to see your Sandy Gast photos when you eventually tweet them. Do you have any Pokemon that you're hoping to find in Pokemon Snap that you have yet to take a photo of?
Well, I found my boy, my haunted sandcastle. The plushie is somewhere in here. I'd get him if I was gonna have him with me but I couldn't find him. I found a Trubbish.
That's the garbage bag one, right?
Yes, but I need to find a Garbodor.
That's the other.
Garbodor, the trash, because I'm all trash and ghost. I did find a couple ghost Pokemon. I would love to find a Garbodor, which I guess is pronounced Garbodor, like odor, but I'm just gonna call it Garbodor. So don't correct me.
Garbodor.
Like odor.
Yeah, but Garbodor sounds
like odor.
Sounds better.
Garbodor. I would like to find a Garbodor, and then I'd really like to find a Gyarados, just because I haven't found one yet. And there's Magikarp freaking everywhere. So like, give me a freaking.
I thought that there was some, and maybe I'm misspeaking here. I thought Brittany said that some of the Mega Evolutions or the evolutions, not to use the wrong jargon, aren't available in Pokemon Snap.
Well, they're there. They're somewhere.
Okay.
But I haven't found them yet, despite just spending all of my available, not dead brain time in that game. But I'll find you. I'm going to find them. But I want my Garbodor. I found my Trubbish. I got my Sandygast. I got my Haunted Sandcastle. I want the other ones, because it's just Haunted Sandcastles and garbage.
Well, I guess you just gotta keep searching, gotta keep throwing them apples out. Well, thank you for giving me an update on your adventures in Pokemon Snap. I love it. That's going to do it for our hands-on segment for this week. When we come back, we're going to go into our final segment, taking your questions and talking to Alexa about her new profession. Well, new, air quotes. It's been a couple years now. Being a video games writer. Stick with us, everybody. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. It's the final segment of the What's Good Games podcast. This is where I tell you that the final segment is brought to you by MeUndies. Summer is coming, and for so many of us, it's the season of discomfort. That's right, you heard me, discomfort. It's hot outside, and if you could sit around in just your underwear, you would. Well, guess what? MeUndies wants to make this the summer of comfort. And they want you to know that if you want to sit around in your underwear, that is absolutely allowed. Get comfortable and express yourself this summer with undies in classic and bold colors and fun and adventurous prints. Y'all know that we're big fans of MeUndies around here, and they just rolled out their brand new swimwear collection, which I'm very excited about. I have been living in my MeUndies bralettes these last couple of months. Love my MeUndies shorts. If you haven't picked up any of their shorts yet, they've got super comfortable shorts as well. But let me tell you, rushing home to change is something into something more comfortable is a thing of the past. Not only have all of us been living that panini life, as Alexa Ray Corriea likes to say, that pandemic life, but it's really made us all embrace this loungewear lifestyle. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Stay comfy in MeUndies all day long. Get undies, socks, bralettes, loungewear, and more, and choose from endless styles in sizes extra small through 4XL with their sustainably soft, micromodal, and ultra-light breathe fabrics. MeUndies has a great offer for What's Good Games listeners. For any first-time purchasers out there, you're going to get 15% off and free shipping. That's 15% off and free shipping, but they also have their problem-free philosophy. If you're not satisfied with any of their products for any reason, they'll refund it or exchange it. No caveats, no questions. To get your 15% off your first order and free shipping, go to meundies.com/WGG. That's meundies.com/WGG to start living the summer of comfort in your home. Alexa, I asked our patrons at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames if they had some questions for you, and I picked a couple of my faves. So before we jump into these questions, I do want to just kind of run down some of the cool stuff that you've been working on. So somebody in the Patreon responses had asked, why did she leave What's Good Games in the first place? And it made me stop and go, oh yeah, there's a whole segment of people listening and watching the show that never knew that you were on the show in the first place. So just as a refresher for everybody, Alexa Ray exited What's Good Games to take an amazing opportunity working for Nintendo. You have since moved on from Nintendo and worked on a couple of different solo projects, including writing for several video games, one of which came out last year that a lot of people loved, a game called Bugsnax.
Yeah. Yes, it did. It's so weird. There were it took a village to, I don't know to take a village, but there were a couple people that made the magic of Bugsnax happen. But I just have to say that working with Young Horses, that team, when you think about weird game concepts and trying to make weird work, they just have this weird otherworldly secret sauce for taking an absolutely bonkers idea and then making it just work, making it something that's just appealing and makes total sense. I remember when I talked to them about it the first time, and they were like, so we have this game and it's about eating bugs, but they're actually snacks, and then your body turns into the snacks, and there's this whole other thing going on. I'm not going to spoil anything. You should really play it. It's really excellent. And I was just like, oh, okay, so it's body horror. And then they were like, here's, check out what it looks like. And then I saw what all the grumpuses looked like, and I was like, oh, so it's Muppet body horror, which I've seen several people also use that term to describe it on Twitter and online and stuff. And goddamn, I saw that game a while ago, and I know that that several of us have been with it during its many iterations, but those guys, working with them, they're so sweet and they're so unassuming and they're so just excited to make games. And the thing with indie games is there's always that fear that what you're making is not going to be well received, or people aren't going to be excited about it because you're working on it yourself. But I saw it the first time and I was like, I think people are going to love this, and seeing the response to it just makes me so happy because I know how much heart and soul they put into it. And like I played a small part, like working with them, but I'm so happy I got to, because they're just so fun and they're so creative, and they're not afraid to just take weird shit and be like, okay, this is in our game now. It's so
Yeah.
good.
I mean, it's definitely a weird game. John has the plushy Strawby on
The
his
stripy
desk. Is so
bee.
cute. And if you guys
Oh,
missed
so good.
Bugsnax, it was a really well received game that came out in fall of last year, and obviously is available for you to play now. But that's just one of several projects that you have worked on. So, a question from Trevor Starkey, who writes in and says, how exciting was it for her to see Aztech Forgotten Gods in the Nintendo Indie World Showcase? Did you expect it to be there, or was it a surprise to be featured in the event?
God, this story. So I came to Aztech by like a weird. It was very. It was a very. This is a weird story. So it was E3 2019, and I was there independently. I was like doing. I don't know what the fuck I was doing. I think it was after I had left Nintendo, and I was like, I'm taking a couple months off, and I'm spinning up consulting and freelance work and whatever. And Lola Shiraishi, shout out Lola, she was like, hey, I know this studio. They're based in Mexico. They're making a game, female lead, other details I don't want to spoil. And they were like, and it's all dudes. And they'd really liked, I think you would get along with the other person who's working on like the creative part, which, and she introduced me to Guillermo. And Guillermo is not only their like head of PR, and he does all the PR and marketing and all of the outreach for the studio, but he was also their only writer. So I sat down with him and we started chatting, and he showed me a demo of what was working in the game and explained the story and told me what it was based in. And we were talking about it and we were talking about it. And then I think I made, or he, one of us, I think it was him, he made a Dragon Ball Z abridged reference, which is a highly specific cultural thing. And I responded in kind, and he was like, oh my gosh. And you like Dragon Ball abridged? I'm like, yeah, it's like a thing I watch with my fiance, and it's what connected me with him and all that stuff. So we bonded over that, and we started talking. And as you can see right now from watching our trailer, it's very much inspired by like the old time fighting action anime with like the big bombastic movements and big power moves and stuff, like the spiky hair and stuff like that. But he spun me this tale of like, it's this really heartfelt story about a family and their culture, and they're based in Chihuahua, Mexico. And this is very much rooted in Aztec mythology, and the sort of the thought behind it is, how has how have the Aztecs and what their culture brought to, Mexican culture, like what has it, how has it contributed, and how has it evolved, and what if those people never, what if they were never conquered and they were still here? How would that have affected the development of like civilization, and how would that have affected the cultural developments and how they see the world and stuff like that? And so for me, I had a huge learning, like a huge learning curve. And, I sat with them and they taught me, I got to learn about, the culture and the way that they feel about this ancient culture from like first person, like straight from their mouths, like how they feel about stuff like, human sacrifices and how they saw the gods and stuff like that. And it was just fascinating and amazing. And the fact that they trusted me with working on this with them is just humbling. Like it's such an honor. That team is, it's a small team. They're all super passionate. They're all super lovely. And if you watched, I did a dice panel last month with Guillermo, talking about how sort of the pandemic, or the Panera opened up this like shared vulnerability between the two of us, and we really wrote this really emotional tale. And Guillermo was amazing. Like, please, everyone, go bother him on Twitter and talk to him. He's such an amazing human being. But seeing it in the Nintendo showcase, I did get like a minor heads up that the announcement was coming, and seeing it in the Nintendo showcase was extremely weird. One, because it's like in a Nintendo showcase, and it's like everyone is watching this because it's Nintendo. And then two, I have a lot of friends that are there, and I know they saw this, and I know they saw the press kit, and my name is in that press kit, and I know they were probably like, oh my goodness. And I heard from them after and got to talk to them about it and stuff. And then, of course, there's the third thing, which is seeing public reaction to it. And it was just like overwhelmingly like it was just crazy to open my timeline and see people talking about this game and being like, oh my God, like an Aztech RPG about this and that and everything. And like we worked on this in secret, like during half of 2019 and then most of 2020. And it's just so crazy to see it out in the wild now. But again, seeing it like a Nintendo Indie World and then seeing Guillermo talking about it and then seeing that trailer, I was just like, this is weird because like I worked for Nintendo and now they're announcing my game because I left to go write, and now I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? And then the film announcement finally got announced, and I got a little heads up on that too, and I was just like, okay, like this thing that we were like, me and this one guy were like, hey, we both think Dragon Ball Z Abridged is really funny, and we're also inspired by fighting anime, like has evolved into what it is now is just mind-boggling to me. But like the experience has been wonderful. Working with that team has been wonderful. And again, like having people who I haven't maybe spoken to in a few years or people or however long, and then just random people seeing that trailer, people from back home, people that are not, I have friends that are not in games, which is weird to think about, but having them being like, oh, I was watching the Nintendo presentation and this game looks really good. And then I saw you post about it on your Facebook, or I saw you post about it on Twitter or whatever. It's like, oh my God, like you worked on this. And it's like, yeah, like they let me work on this with them. And I'm like really proud of them. And it's amazing to work with a team from another culture, from another country, because I learned from them and then they learned from me, or at least they told me they did. I hope I gave them something in return. I'd be embarrassed if I didn't give them anything in return. I just showed up and made their thing and left.
I'm certain that you had some
amazing.
wonderful things to contribute, of course.
I'm so, you can tell I'm really emotional because now I'm like rambling, but I loved working on that game with them. And please watch our dice conversation. It's up on YouTube if you can. And it's just like that game is, I can't wait for people to finally get it in their hands. It was surreal to see it get announced, and then everything else that came with it.
Seriously, congratulations. It's a huge achievement. For people who are wondering where they can learn more about the game, playaztech.com is the website. According to the trailer, it says fall 2021 coming to Nintendo Switch. So you guys can learn more about that. But there is a second part to Trevor's question, which I feel compelled to ask. And that is, with her and Belinda Garcia working at Sledgehammer, how long until we get the announcement that Sledgehammer is really working on Kingdom Hearts 4?
Oh my God. Can I talk about Belinda for a hot second?
Yes, Belinda, of course you can. Belinda is wonderful. I got to meet her for drinks a couple weeks ago, and we literally sat and stared at each other for I think the first 5 minutes we were physically in the room together. I'm just like, and I'm just like in awe of her. She has worked I'm so excited to play Stonefly out June 1st. Go play it. She just works so hard without giving anything away about anything that's going on. She works so hard. She's so wonderful, and she's one of those people that's like, she will hype you up for free. Like when she's in your corner, she's in your corner forever. And she's also from like a writing and talent perspective. Like I'm real glad no one has found her before this, because now we have her and we're going to keep her. Like she's the magical secret weapon in the arsenal of like what we're working on. Like I am so thrilled to be working with her, and when we have a tough day, she's like the first to be like, no, I got you, like don't worry about it. Like I am so happy to be there with her, and I don't know if she's going to listen to this podcast, but if she does, she's going to be really embarrassed because I'm talking good things about her. Oh, but I don't think she'll be embarrassed. She might blush a little, but she's a wonderful person. And she does listen to this podcast from time to time. But I'll be sure to let her know that you were gassing her up a bit on the show. Yeah, she's great. You guys should follow her if you guys aren't already following her.
Wonderful. But on the Kingdom Hearts 4 subject, like it's good to have another person in the office who's like, the power of friendship, and like, but what if it was darkness? Like she's it's so good to have someone who just understands you like fundamentally on like that level. But like we've definitely had moments where it's like a Kingdom Hearts moment, and it you can when another Kingdom Hearts diehard is in the room, you just feel better. All my Kingdom Hearts diehard fans, you can feel it. But no, it's really, really great. Also, I think if it's like Nomura approached us and was like, "Do you two want to work on Kingdom Hearts 4?" I don't know if we do it because that series is like so far in left field right now, and I feel like, at least for me personally, I just want to love something and not have to work on it. And
The
it's also just fucking
pressure. I mean,
bonkers.
like, what happens if you work on it and then you like screw it up and the fan base hates you forever?
Well, I feel that right now with Call of Duty 2021. Like, I really hope everybody likes what they get eventually. So please,
But
yay.
that's a pretty big team, right? Like that's not falling squarely on your shoulders regardless of what happens or which direction, Sledgehammer goes. I mean, I think when you talk about some of the work you're doing on like Aztech, for example, it's a little bit more personal, right? So I guess the pressure mounts. But I mean, you've been a creative your entire life. This isn't the first project that you've written. I mean, how do you deal with those pressures? I mean, you and I have talked on this show before about the importance of mental health and how imposter syndrome affects us all. I mean, you're working on some, really big, incredible projects right now. How are you kind of coping with all that?
Well, the thought that I keep coming back to is like my sibling is going to play this game. So I have two siblings, 5 and 10 years apart. And the one who's 10 years apart is a diehard Call of Duty fan. And like, he doesn't know what I'm working on other than what's been publicly announced. I can't tell him shit. But it's just weird to me to think that like I'm going to put something into the world and he's going to play it. And he's going to be like, my sister worked on this. And that's like incredibly, like, that's where the pressure starts to come in. Like, that's where I start to feel like, oh, like I'm making something that like my blood relative, like this being that I've known since he came into the world, is going to play this thing that I worked on and he's going to pass judgment on it. And if he hates it, I'm going to shrivel up and die. Like, I don't like everyone can I welcome opinions. Like, I am not above criticism, art, subjective, all that stuff. But if my little brother doesn't like what I make, I'm literally going to shrivel up and die. I'm just going to go in the
He's
corner and
going
just
to
shrivel
love
up
it.
and
And
die.
if he doesn't, he won't say anything if he knows what's good for
No,
him.
he will. He will. He'll say something. We'll be at Christmas and he'll be just like, "So, why did you do this thing?" Or like, "What is this thing?" And I'm going to be like, "Oh man." But the way I deal with the pressure is in general is just like me, and I think every game writer feels this way. It's like they want people to feel represented and they want people to feel like they're having fun. So we don't really think, or at least I don't think, in a sense of like, this is my art and this is the story I'm telling and this is what I want to do because this is how I see it. But I think about everybody else out there and like what's coming. And I really want, when I create, and then for Aztech, for Bugsnax, for everything, and I think about like these are the people that are going to look at it and these are the people that I want to feel a certain way. So like, what can I make that will make them, have fun? Because it's a video game. You should be having fun when you're playing a video game. Don't play video games. I've done it. It's not great. Don't do it. Um, what would make you have, a great time, or like what would enrich your life, or what would enrich, how you think or make you think. So um I just think about like what me as like that little fangirl who's going to boot up her console and pop something in and spend a couple hours playing something on like a Friday night. Like, how would she feel? Like, what would she, be looking for? So whenever I write, I think about that person, and I think about, my brother popping in that console on a Friday night when he's not working and thinking about it. So I just think about the people out there and what will make them smile, or, make them want to play a couple hours before bed and then go to bed feeling peaceful. Like, I make stories for the world, and I hope I make something that people like. I'm thinking about everybody. I want everybody to have fun.
I like that sentiment. Okay, to wrap up our interview, I've got 2 final questions. This first one is from Devin Nitz. Devin asks, is there a favorite part of your job that you can share with us? And it doesn't have to be specifically about the job you're in now, but I think about being a writer in video games. But it can be specific if you would like.
So I'm gonna it's being a writer in I'm gonna have a twofold answer. Being a writer in video games, I like it because you're working on an ever evolving medium. Like you just don't write a script and then you hand it over and you're like, okay, bye, I'm done. That thing is constantly getting edited, constantly getting iterated on. Something changes, a boss fight changes, a scenario changes, something gets cut, and you're constantly, working with the puzzle of like, okay, we've taken out this whole section of the puzzle. How do we fill in those puzzle pieces again? So it's constantly evolving, and it's kind of like a brain teaser. And that's what I love about writing for games as opposed to a medium like, books or television or comics, even though I do have some television movie stuff in the works. But the thing that I love about working where I am right now with my current team is it is 50% women, which is something I've never encountered before, which is crazy to me. And crazy to all of them. I have this beautiful team and we're all, from diverse backgrounds, diverse places. And we all get along really great. And I love coming into work every day and talking to them, but we are split pretty evenly, male, female. And
that is definitely unheard of in the world of video games. Oh my God.
It's crazy. Shout out to Stephen Rhodes, our boss. You did a good job.
Good job, Stephen.
But no, like we have a group of people who are very alert, who are very in tune, who are very thoughtful, who are very worldly, who are very who mesh together, and it's just really great and I've worked on a lot of projects other stuff that hasn't been announced and whatever, but I've worked in a lot of spaces where as a writer you're maybe like the only woman, or you're one other woman. It's you and like one other. But it's incredibly like crazy to come in and have that, like, as a woman, have that support network of like there's a couple of you and you can talk about stuff and understand what's going on and just sort of have that sounding board for when maybe something doesn't sound right or something comes off a little weird. Like having that little network in your workspace is just like absolutely incredible. And I also get to work with besides Belinda and Shelby and Megan, I get to work with Sam Maggs. Shout out, Sam, you're freaking awesome. Who's a amazingly accomplished game writer. She worked on Ratchet and Clank, and she created Rivet. That's her current thing, and she's in a bunch of comics, and she's so incredible.
So cool. Yeah, like, Sam is awesome.
I love her. She's amazing, and like it's just so crazy to come into that space and see that diversity quotient like so even, because I think we get so much more done, and it's just the conversations are so much more fluid. So I love that I'm in a space where the studio has really leaned into like D&I and is like, we mean it. And I'm just really happy. Like I sign on to work it every day. And of course, all the other like girly bullshit, I have like several people to like talk to about, which is really nice.
I love it. You love to see it.
It's so good.
Okay, final question is from Elmo Shell. In your games or games you have worked on are excluded, what game are you looking forward to? Games, let's say a game that has been announced, revealed, obviously, not like, something that's a little bit more ethereal, like Half-Life 3. Like what game is Alexa Ray like super hyped for?
No, well, I'm a big fan of Dad Simulator God of War. So God of War Ragnarok is up there, big time. I love the dad-son, the parent-child dynamic, so I'm really interested to see how that evolves into the next game. And then I haven't picked it up yet. No, wait a minute. I just mixed up 2 games. I know it's coming out soon. It's coming out in like 1 week, but I'm really excited to play, or 1 week, 2 weeks, Deathloop.
Really yes, Deathloop. I think that got moved to June.
Get it? Whatever. Just give it to me. Take it, put it in, give it to me. I want it. It looks so cool.
Oh, it got moved to September. September 14th, 2021.
I'll wait for you. This just shows like how out of the death loop, out of the like I'm just not paying attention because I'm like in gamedom land, just drinking wine and
doing your gerb.
Doing my gerb, which is a fun gerb. No, I'm really excited for that game. Returnal just came out. I need to pick it up. But the art style and sort of like the premise behind Deathloop was really intriguing for me. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I love Arcane as a studio. I think that game has so much potential. And I'm definitely looking forward to hearing more, seeing more about that game. Good pick, Alexa. Well, thank you so much for answering those questions and for being on the show with me today. It's been so great to have you back. Do you have any kind of parting thoughts or words on, kind of where you're at, or, kind of, the state of the industry, or kind of just how you feel about life in general? Anything?
Don't let anyone shame you for playing on baby mode.
Yes! I'm so glad you said that! Baby mode!
Don't let anyone shame you. Sometimes you just gotta get it done, but you still want to enjoy it. Don't let anyone shame you. It's okay. That's why it's there.
Preaching to the choir, my friend. I mean, play Resident Evil on casual and feel good about it. I did. No regrets.
I would like to get casually stepped on. That's how I'm gonna go in.
Casually.
That's how I'm gonna go in.
Please.
Just casually, real casually. Nothing official, nothing formal. I just if it comes to that, just a little casual stepping. It's fine. Just casual.
Little baby step. Baby mode casual stepping.
A little bit.
It's great.
Baby mode.
Well, Alexa, if people who are listening to the show want to follow you and learn more about the games that you're working on, like, where's the best place for people to kind of keep up with what you're doing?
Well, you can go to Twitter and see what kind of dumb shit I'm tweeting about. It's at Alexa Ray C. It's either photos of my dog or I'm complaining about something. But that's where I am.
I love it. Who doesn't love doggo photos? It's great. If you
love my
or
doggy.
Listening to the podcast and you weren't at youtube.com/WeskerGames and you didn't get to see Chip, trust me, there are plenty of photos on the internet of this adorable little dog. Well, thank you again for being on the show. We look forward to hearing more about what you're currently working on when it's no longer top secret. We'll have you back on the show to talk about it. And enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. I'll be back with Steimer next week. Take care. Bye.
Bye.